up, everybody? Welcome to Coffee Hour. It's a Monday, getting the week started, getting the juices pumping. Got the coffee, just again, donut blend. No, actually, this is Dunkin' today. I am going to try some of that Rifle coffee that people talk about, Black Rifle. I've got some on order. I'm going to get some of that too. Going to try it out. The new family, minimalist wallet with the Code Strong logo on it. Should be available over on the website today at some point. Okay, there you go. Anyway, we got more of these people that post stuff over on these social media channels. Okay, anyway, hey everybody, welcome to our stream. And thanks for joining me. It's great to have you here as always. I know that you could spend your time anywhere. But in the mornings, if you're on your commute or you're riding or you're driving or you're going down the road and you want to have somebody to chat with or just listen to, we appreciate you joining us here on Coffee Hour every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So it's the place to be if you want to get your code, talk electrical, chat, mix with everybody. It's a place to be. Share it with other people on your social platforms. Hell, even share it with the haters. That's okay. I don't mind. Share them. Glad to have you here. Put out a couple podcasts this weekend. Make sure you check them out. A couple Bond and Ground podcasts. Put them out, so make sure you listen to those. I think we did a Let's Ask Paul podcast as well. So make sure you check that out. Again, I am a podcaster before I am a video guy. I mean, I was doing podcasts before they were called podcasts because I enjoy doing podcasts, just talking. In the studio that we have now here in Virginia, we have a separate podcast area. I am a bit remote, so haven't really had any guests come in here because I am a bit remote. But if you want to be a guest and you want to be on a show and you happen to be listening and you're in the area, I am in Louisa County, Virginia. Just holler if you're in Virginia. We're about 35 miles north of Richmond. And about, 30 miles south of Charlottesville. We're right in between. So again, love to have you on the show. If you got something you feel like you can bring to the show. We will be having Vince Delacroce in here. And Vince will be in here probably towards the end of the year. We will be recording our pool and spa series for the we didn't do one for the 2023, but we will be doing it for the 2026. So again, excited about that. Where will I be? So if you want to meet me, you want to hang out, you want to say what's up, I will be at the NFPA conference this week. I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday, I'm heading back. I'm not going to the convention thing where you run around and you meet and greet. I tend to don't do many of those. Now, Nika, I like to say I'm contractually obligated to work the booth, that type of thing, and be there in case you have any questions. But when it comes to other shows like that, I really don't walk around and that type of things because one is I'm not a I'm not a viral YouTuber. What do you call it, where you go take pictures or take video in the field type of thing? I'm not that kind of guy. It's just not my thing. So again, and I don't believe too much in this influencer crap. So at the end of the day, if you come to the Knitmams, which is where we'll be doing the work and listening to people debate, I really have nothing I want to speak on. There's a couple things I should speak on, but for the fear that they will get me in trouble, because I know the topic, and the topic is liable to get me in trouble, liable to put me back in lawsuits. So even though they can't win, they put me in them, Only ones that win in a lawsuit is the lawyers, by the way. They're the only ones that win in a lawsuit, especially if it's a frivolous lawsuit. The only one that wins is the attorney. They always win. Regardless of which side prevails, the attorneys on both sides, they always win. So anyway, I'm not going to give them any fuel for that. But, Chris Hunter will be doing some speaking out. If everybody knows who Chris Hunter is, she's the kind of my equivalent over at Zero. So she'll be speaking out about certain things. So I encourage you to listen to Chris because she's makes a lot of sense and she's a sharp woman. Always been a sharp woman. I love women in the trade, but Chris is a little step above the normal woman in the trade. I'm just saying. Very knowledgeable. There'll be other people there, I'm sure, that'll be speaking. There'll be names that you probably heard of that'll be there for the knit mams that you probably read articles about. I'm sure probably if he's healthy, Fred Hartwell will be there. Fred authors the NEC handbook, not the one that the NFPA puts out, but the one that you can buy that I recommend. I don't always agree with Fred, and that's the way it is. People don't always agree, but I would agree with him 99% of the time. So he's pretty sharp on, and I'm one of those guys that like to read his commentary, that type of thing. Oh, so if you don't have it, I'll recommend it. I don't use affiliate links, and I don't make no money. I don't do that Amazon stuff. But this is his book. It's from McGraw-Hill, and it's thick. And it's really great to have in your library. So a lot of people say they collect code books. That's great. But if you had to add some kind of something to yours and you want somebody's opinion, because again, NEC is opinionated, right? But you want something that's good as a good education. Of course, our course is great to have, right? Be a member of our course and are mastering the NEC program if you're already licensed. That's great too. Have it in your pocket, okay? Self-promotion. Whoop, whoop, whoop. But if you want a good opinion document, and also your link or anything like that in a PA's handbook is also a good opinion. When I talk about opinions, it's always just good to have opinions from others that you respect so that you can, it doesn't mean that it changes your opinion. It just means that it helps you solidify your opinion, right? You're like, that's what I thought. And if it's not what you think, it makes you think. It makes you go, well, let me look at it from their point of view. That's the beautiful thing about the code. Everybody wants to argue over code. At the end of the day, it's either black or white or areas for discussion. Negotiation, I like to say. So, but anyway, great book by Fred Hartwell. He's an old salty guy, but he is very knowledgeable and have been around a long time. Kind of like Mark Odie. Listen to the things Mark Odie says and stuff like that. You definitely want to make sure you listen, okay? Because it's great stories. I'm not a storyteller, but they are. And so they tell great stories. Fred doesn't talk a whole lot unless he's passionate about something. But this is a great book. It's available over on Amazon. Again, I'm not affiliate linking. I'm not making any money. If Fred makes money, that's great. But it is a good resource to have, okay? But like with any resource, again, it is exactly that. It's a resource, okay? All right, so anyway, that's that. All right. So what do we got going on here? So I did a podcast this weekend on an article that was published over on LinkedIn, and I got the author a bit upset because of my approach. So to that author, I apologize if it bent you out of shape or rubbed you the wrong way. That wasn't my intent. In fact, I thought I went out of my way to give kudos to the article or the structure of the article, but it seemed to rub them the wrong way. So I removed their name from the article. From the podcast, but I was really paying homage to him because, again, yes, something may be wrong, but at the end of the day, it's still a good read, and I still recommended it. But he didn't like it, so I removed my comments from LinkedIn. I blocked him so that my comments do not show on his thread because that seemed to offend him. He got bent out of shape. But my thing is this. If you're going to write something, folks, and you're going to put it out there for public view, the reason I'm saying this is because Angry contacted me last night and was talking about this guy that posted some pictures of his non-metallic sheath cable install. And he's so proud of it, right? I guess he's posting these pictures like he did a great job. But it really wasn't a good job. And why would you post stuff like that? I mean, because once you put it out there, if you get bent out of shape, because if you don't like something I say on my channels, and let me tell you this, I already know that on many of those Facebook channels, they ripped me apart for whatever reason. They don't even know me, but they hate on me. I'm okay with that. I don't go there trying to defend my honor. I don't give a crap. Okay, do what you got to do. If it makes you feel better, do it. But I do feel that when you put incorrect information out there, and that somebody has to correct it. Now, I don't use the same approach as Angry does. But Angry's, I mean, if you look at the whole name, it's Angry. Angry Sparky. I mean, that's just the way he is. And that's the way he puts it out there. Great guy, by the way, but that's how he does it. For me, I try to back everything up with code and explain it. Or I might say something as simple as, dude, just do better. I'm not going to get into the tit for tats on social, but if you put something out there and you put it out there, just do me a favor. Look at the image or look at it before you do it. Because if you put it out there, don't get bent out of shape if somebody quotes you in an article or does a video on you. You can't get bent out of shape. You know why? You put it out there. When I write articles over on my blogs, I have dozens of them. I encourage you to go check them out. If you disagree with something, you can leave a comment and I'll change the article. If you're right, if I'm wrong, I'll acknowledge it. Those type of things in the comment. But at the end of the day, it's all about learning, right? It's all about learning. So if you're going to go out of the way and publish something, then it's public. It's in public domain. You can't get bent out of shape if somebody corrects you or gives commentary on it. It happens every day. Well, I did this for the LinkedIn post and the dude really got bent out of shape. So I apologize if it hurt you. I thought I was very nice about it. Now the podcast is still up if you want to go listen to it. It's over on our I think it's the Bond and Ground podcast. If you'd like to go listen to it, don't go hunting for the author. It's not worth it. But again, listen to it and you'll see that. And he since corrected his article. So that's great. I mean, that's what we want, right? But please don't get bent out of shape. I don't do it anymore over on TikToks and other places. I try not to jump on people anymore because, again, it seems to bend them out of shape. But don't post something. I mean, I'm very open. If there's anything about me, I put everything out there. So if you want to comment on it, you want to flame me in another forum, now you're not going to be able to do it in my forums because I'll block you. Okay? It's just the way it is. You don't like it? I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you taint my forum, that type of thing, or whatever platform. This is not a democracy. It's a monarchy. I own them. I run them. I'm very transparent up front. Okay? Tell you that. I'm not going to let you taint it. It's not free speech. I do see that a lot too. I don't like TikTok and how they block my stuff, but I'm not going to go on there and say, what about free speech? Free speech, because it isn't free speech. They own the platform. They can moderate whatever they want. I don't like it. I don't think they do it evenly, but at the end of the day, it's free speech, but they own the platform. So, they're not obligated to enforce free speech. They're not. I mean, people say, wait a minute, Paul, you should believe in free speech. I believe in free speech, but if it's a platform, then you choose to join it, you choose to sign up for it, then they have every right to restrict what gets said and what doesn't. I know people don't like to hear that, but that's the beautiful thing about America is they have the ability to do that. Now, out in the public, free speech is free speech. It should be protected, but not on forums that are controlled. Again, I don't like it. But I do the same damn thing. So I'm not a hypocrite. Okay? So just saying. I just think that it's not free speech when you ban stuff that is pretty, you're just having a communication with somebody. Hell, I'll get banned if I call somebody an idiot. Well, that's the kind of stuff I don't believe should be, blocked. But again, I don't control the platform. Anyway, and I don't go out of my way to make things, write stuff that makes people feel good. Can't coddles them. I write what I write. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. People say, well, Paul, you can be politically correct in how you write things and how you do that. No, I don't. I do whatever I want to do. Okay. I am 56 years old. I do whatever the hell I want to do. And people can choose to take it or leave it or go somewhere else or watch or not watch or subscribe, unsubscribe. I don't care. I really don't care. All right. Okay? That's just the way I am. Old fogey. That's just the way I am. Let's do some shout outs real quick. As always, folks, I like when you let me know who you are, where you're from in the comments. And so I can give some love to you, let you know where you're at. Let's see here. There's Jonathan. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Adam's in the house. Good morning, Adam. Thank you for joining us, as always, here on Coffee Hour. Marlon is in the house. Marlon, let me know again. I know you posted it the other day, but email it to me what you want on your wallet so I can make sure I get it right. I think you said Master Marlon, but please email me. Let me know. Guys, also, I'll remind you, if you order any of our products that are engravable, okay, let us know what you want. In the comments when you're ordering at checkout, you'll have a little comment box. In that comment box, let us know what you want engraved on it. Hell, I'll just about engrave anything you want on there, but you got to let me know, okay? So I know exactly what to put on there. What's up, Manny? Hopefully, Manny, I was teasing you the other day. Hopefully, Manny, you got the answer to your question. No, the code doesn't require GFCI on those 30 and 50 amp pedestal receptacles because it considers them being supplied by what's called a feeder assembly. So they don't necessarily fall under brand circuit, but I kind of said that and I was teasing you, but I wanted to make sure I did answer your question because that's not like me. I want to always make sure I answer your question. So just in case, but I believe, I can't remember, I think 551.70 or somewhere in there makes it very clear what GFCI applies to. And the whole concept between that is the fact that it's usually because it's not going to be plugged in and out, in and out, in and out. Usually you put your RV, you plug it straight into your pedestal and you leave it until you're ready to go. So it's not a lot of interaction with it. You're not going to be using power tools. And usually the mobile home, or the RV will have the other GFCI requirements for the RV that's going to pick up that interaction between you and different appliances and stuff. So that's typically the reason. And it's going to be basically because you have an attachment plug into the RV pedestal. It's not going to be in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, unlike any service receptacles that may be on the pedestal, which would be GFCI protectors. So I just want to make sure, Manny, that I covered that because sometimes I get on a roll and I don't cover things as well as somebody would want, and that's the whole premise of the show. And so, again, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better, Manny. And I love the Code Nerd hoodie. I'm just saying. All right. What's up, Seattle? I might be saying that right now. Seattle. I know it's not Skiattle. I'm thinking maybe Seattle. Okay. Good morning, David. My CMECP from down in Florida. CMECP, the acronym for Certified Master Electrical Code Professional. David earned that title. He went through the program. Okay. What's up, Santana? Good morning. Hashtag win. Got your coffee going. Let's go. Let's see here. Mitch. Good morning, Mitch. Glad to have you here. Going to learn some stuff today. We're going to try to clean up and finish up or finish working on stuff, the basic residential today. So we'll move through that pretty quickly. Brandon, what's up? Glad to have you here. As always, keep studying, keep working. You'll get it. Don't get discouraged. What's up, High Voltage Hands? Good morning. Angel is in the house. I am doing good, my friend. Glad to have you here watching over on the YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, we are also streaming on Kick now. So kick.com/Master the NEC. It's a streamer channel. I am not a streamer. a gamer. I have a PlayStation 5. I used to play Call of Duty, but after being killed every 30 seconds, I got tired of that. So I'm looking for some other game that might be interesting. But again, I'm out of that. Oh, other news. You remember I talked about faster speeds so that we can interact more cameras? I got notice, and they marked the ground outside, that we may get the fiber optic into studio in the next week or two. And if that's the case, then we can have additional cameras because it's the bandwidth that we struggle with this Starlink. But once we get that, we won't have that issue, and I can have multiple cameras to multiple areas of the room. And then we can have the podcast area and everything integrated. And so that's good news, right? Just a little change, something new to the show, that type of thing. And we can bring in more guests because the bandwidth won't be restricted. Yes, Starlink and where we're at, it's a great service, but it does restrict the upload. So again, trying to be because I found that, y'all remember where things would freeze up? I found that it's not EV-MUX's problem, it's bandwidth and how it does everything. So I've just kind of been chill. I knew it's coming, but it is coming because guess what? I got notice. So there we go. What's up, Rob? Good morning. Great day to learn. Absolutely. Monday's always a great day to learn because we come off the weekend. I know y'all all went to y'all's little parades. Some of you maybe. Did you go to your parade? Was that No King's Parade? Congratulations. You won. We still have no king. That's awesome news. Your efforts were well noted. All right. Let's see. You'll be in Vegas this week. I will be. I'm not going until Wednesday. So today and tomorrow we have coffee hour, but the rest of the week we will not. But you'll probably see some videos from me on site, but it's not going to be coffee hour each morning. So you'll get replays Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week, okay, from older episodes. So, yep, I will be, but I'm not going out there. I'm not going for the convention. I mean, where the trade show part. I don't really do that stuff anymore if I can help it. What's up, Jay? Glad to have you here. I'm only going for the code part. Let's see here. What's up, Paul? Back to work, off vacation. I hope everybody did have a great Father's Day. I don't observe Father's Day for my son because he wishes me dead, but I do think of my father who passed in 2014 on October 10th. Ironically, it was right at the time that I made a decision to move to Texas, so that was a very hard decision to make, to leave my father while he was dying. But my father was a businessman as well, and he knew that I have to keep going, and I have to be. So I stayed in constant contact, but it's funny that I was actually teaching at an event when I got the news, a text of my dad passing. I was actually teaching code. And it is weird because the day that my mom died, I was back there taking care of her, but I was down in the basement doing a live stream. I put her in a good position. She had been had her medication. She was up there. My brothers were there. I was like, okay, I got to do this webinar that I had scheduled for calculations. So I went down and did like 4 hours or whatever it was of a webinar. And the day that she passed, and my brother came down, and because I was doing the meds and I was taking care of her, he said, she's acting funny. And I knew that when her meds wore off, she got really antsy. And they said that it's been 4 hours and she's not antsy yet. And I was like, uh-oh, something's wrong. And that's when I went up there. And when I did, it was within an hour that she passed, right in our hands. So I was there for that too. But it's funny not funny, but how electrical it always seems that what I do as a profession, I must do it all the time. I must be so immersed in this field that even when my parents passed, I was either on the road teaching or was just finishing a seminar or something like that. So that type of thing is what it is. Let's see here. High Voltage Hands says, been on the road the last 2 weeks. I didn't have time to tune in as we started when you go live. Denver was nice. Now I'm back to the dreadful California. You have my condolences, but stay safe. Maybe the rioting's all done now. They've made their point. Hopefully they haven't burnt down the entire city. What's up, AJ? The only thing about the electricians look at is like if you burn it down, they were going to get paid to rebuild it. So, that's why wars is so profitable, because when things get tore up, they know that's got to be rebuilt, and then all the construction industries just make some money. So that's why after wars, you have this sudden boom, economic boom, like after World War II and everything, is because of the rebuilding and all the stuff that gets done. And so anyway, let's see here. What's up, Erie? Glad to have you here. Robert down in San Antonio. Robert, glad to have you here. Welcome. Adrian, glad to have you here. Adrian from Houston. We got a lot of Houston here. What is up, Edward? I got your order for your minimalist wallet, my friend. Please let me know what you want on it. Do you just want your name on it? I sent you an email, or through our system, I sent you something. Email me, let me know what you want on your wallet. If you just want your name, but I want to make sure that we get exactly what you want on it. Some people get their name. I only use a minimum wallets now. It's not just because I sell these. This is all I use. I put my money in the clip, and I keep my credit cards and licenses and everything in here, and it goes in my front pocket. Why? Because I got sciatic nerve, and I don't like anything in my back pockets, and it's just safer for me, and it's always there, and I love it. So it's not self-promotion for wallets. I'm just saying I use what I sell, that type of thing. So let me know. Provident Power, good morning. Glad to have you here. Red Dog.
Woo, 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 woo.
Good
Big
morning.
dog.
Watching live from California. Heading on to work. Case of the Mondays. Yep. Lift it up. It's Monday, man. Look at what you got ahead of you. You got a whole week of goodness. Whole week of electrical. Just think about it. That should get you excited. Okay. What's up, Mike? Alex? Good morning, everyone. Happy late Father's Day. Still waiting for you to get that Alex from the Outdoors handle over on YouTube. I'm just saying. What's up, you soul? This must be an alternative universe. I actually cracked open my calculations book. There you go. Hashtag master electrician. What's up, Greg? Glad to have you here watching over on the tube. There you go. Adam says that handbook is now available for $85 over on Amazon. Check it out. Fred Hartwell does a great job. What's up, Peter? Glad to have you. Good morning. Hashtag win. Angel joining us over on Facebook. I am doing good today, my friend. Thank you for joining. What's up, David? Thank you, David. Glad to have you here. Good morning. Let's see here. What do we got? Charles. Good morning, Charles. Okay. Thank you. David says, yeah, text has a way of coming across differently in the mood and attitude truly is. Yep. You know what? Us old guys, we don't really care anymore, though, do we, David? If he doesn't want to learn and I don't want to teach him, I just like, okay, see ya. Take it personally if you want. That's what I'm saying. Providence, is that Kyle? Provident Power, Kyle? Is that your name there? Welcome, Kyle. Glad to have you here. Who we got here? Terrence, up from D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. My neighboring contractor. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Let's see. AJ's down in DFW. Tara says, good morning from Joe Wheeler Lake. Dude, I wish, ma'am, I wish I was out on that lake. I just got notice that I think my boat will be serviced today. Had to get the lower oil changed, the upper spark plugs changed. I know I could have done it myself, but I'm lazy. And getting everything tuned up so that we don't get stranded out on the lake since I moved it from Texas back to Virginia. So should let me know. I don't want to look at the bill, but it's all good. It means I can get out on the lake. That's, there you go. You're our code father. Yes, unlike Godfather, I'm the code father. There you go. Cool. Marlon says, yes, that's correct. So I think you mean Master Marlon, if that's what you mean, Marlon. What's up, Pedro? Glad to have you here. Welcome. Again, good morning. Wow, a lot of you here this morning. Van Man, good morning. Glad to have you here. Driving into work. There you go. Rob, good morning. Glad to have you here. All right, let's get into the lesson today. And if you're here, keep shouting out. We'd love to have you here. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and I will shout you out. Okay, so we're back talking about dwelling things. Just a low-hanging fruit to remember. Kitchens, dining rooms, breakfast rooms, all the wall and countertop receptacles in those areas are going to be supplied by that, small appliance brand circuit. Again, we're following up part 2 of what we did on Friday last week. So make sure if you missed it, you go back and you watch part 1 to build on this. Okay? And of course, you can always, this is another thing. If you don't like the intros, people that watch these say, Paul, you spend 20 minutes saying hey to everybody. I enjoy saying hey. That's why I'm here. I enjoy saying hey. But you always can just speed through it. Whatever platform you're on, you can just drag the thing 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in, and you can get to the lesson if you want. It's up to you. That's why you get to do it. But if you come to the live, you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay? All right. Because I appreciate everybody that joins me. That's why I do it. Okay. All right, so the minimum 2 small appliance brand circuits, y'all know that's required by 210.11c1, are required receptacles that are serving the kitchen countertop. So 21052B3 is going to remind us, now, this is also, since it's in 52, this is spacing. So obviously remember that we've got a bunch of rules in 210.52, right? We have the spacing requirements, and actually, I talk about that on one of my Let's Ask Paul episodes, the one I did this weekend. Talks about, somebody says, where do I find the 2-foot, 4-foot rule or 6-foot, 12-foot rule? And I explained to them, you're not going to find the 4-foot reference. You're going to find the 24-inch or 2-foot. You're going to find the 6-foot or, and you're like, okay, I can find that, but where do I get the reference to 4-foot and to 12-foot? You're not going to get it. It is basically the concept of, if I told you what the maximum distance between 2 receptacles would be and not violate the code on a countertop, if it is at no point on the wall can it be more than 24 inches, then it's logical if I put 2 receptacle outlets 48 inches apart that if I go right to the middle, that point on the wall, I touch the wall, I'm within 24 inches of that receptacle outlet, and I'm within 24 inches of that one, so I'm compliant. So the maximum distance that I can be to stay compliant is 48 inches, or 4 feet. So that's where we get the 2 foot, 4 foot rule from. Same with the 6 foot 12. If I have a receptacle and I go from a door, I go 6 feet, so that anywhere on that wall between the door opening and that receptacle, I'm going to be within 6 feet of a receptacle. And then from that receptacle, I can go up to 12 feet, so that if I touch the wall right in the middle, I'm within 6 feet of that receptacle outlet, and I'm within 6 feet of that receptacle outlet. That's what the rule means. So that's why we get the slang 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, 12 foot. You're not going to find the 4 and you're not going to find the 12 in there. You have to understand the logic of the question. Maximum distance to stay compliant. That's how we get that. Okay. So I answered that on a podcast this weekend. So in case you didn't know that. What's up, James? Glad to see you here. What's up, Haas? Glad to have you. All right. Now, when you do those minimum 2 small appliance brand circuits, a minimum of 2, you could have more. Okay, it's okay to have more. But they are going to supply all of the wall and countertop receptacles that are in your kitchens, breakfast rooms, dining rooms, or similar locations. Okay, so those type of scenarios. So not only am I going to go in here, so I could have the small appliance brand. I always like to do this. I could have this small appliance brand circuit serving this side, right? But I can also have it wrap around and get these break rooms, okay? Breakfast area, right? Okay, so so that would be from here, that'd be one small appliance brand circuit. And then I could go from this side and go here, and I could be this small appliance brand circuit, okay? So I have to have at least 2. Can I have more than 2? Absolutely. Just remember, when I do a load calculation, if I have more than 2, then it's 1,500 VA each. So again, you're going to be able to use those in your demand calculations as well, but just remember that I have to have at least 2, okay? Now, could I run a separate small appliance brand circuit to pick up the dining room? Absolutely. Does that get counted in? Yes, then that would be another 1,500 VA. You with me? Okay. All right, so all of the wall and floor receptacle outlets covered in 210.52A and all the countertop outlets covered by 210.52C in the kitchen, pantry, breakfast room, dining room, or similar area, okay? They can call it some other funky name if the engineer or design professional wants to. But again, if it's used very similar to these locations, and they're usually kind of adjacent to the main kitchen or adjacent to the dining area, then then you could have them say that that is a similar area, okay? Now, a living room could be adjacent to a kitchen, but that does not make a living room an area that requires a small appliance brand circuit. Why? Because it is not similar to the activities that take place in a dining room, breakfast room, kitchen area. Yeah, can you eat in a living room? Yeah, but we have to use a little common sense. And if you can't differentiate that, then you probably should go on and move into the plumbing field, because it's a little easier to understand the location stuff, okay? I'm just saying, just saying, okay? All right, now, so it tells us that all of the wall, all of the countertops have to be on those small appliance branch circuits, even the ones that are doing the wall spacing. So while you have your 2 foot, 4 foot spacing here, right? Once you get out here with that small appliance branch circuit, you're going to shift to 210.52A, and that's where you're going to do your wall spacing requirements, right? Okay, so no point along the wall line is more than 6 feet from a receptacle outlet. Can you be less than that? Sure, it's all a part of your design, but you got to be at least that distance. You can't be more than that distance apart, okay? So here, I guess these are maybe these slide open or something. I don't know. But anyway, here's this measurement here. It's within 6 feet of this opening. So 6 feet of this opening. Maximum distance is 12 feet, yada, yada, yada. Here, between here and here, it looks like maybe the maximum distance here is 4 feet. And then, of course, 2 feet from the edge of the sink here. 2 feet from the edge of the sink here. And then you can go up to 4 feet to here. That type of thing. And then here's the end of the counter. You have to be within 2 feet of the end of the counter, right? And in this little cabinet right here, anything that is 12 inches or more is going to have a receptacle as well. So there you go. Okay, so that's your spacing requirements for your kitchen, okay? All right. Hallways. Well, let's talk about stairwells first. So this is a stairwell, change elevations from first floor to second floor, from a first floor to a second floor with an exit where you'd be leaving the landing, or you may have just stairs that go from point A to point B, from first floor to second floor, whatever. Interior stairwells of 6 or more risers, low-hanging fruit on an exam, by the way, shall have a wall switch located at each floor level and landing that includes stairwell entry. So if I have a landing and it is exiting that landing onto the floor, okay, so not only have to have it from the steps at each end of the steps where there are 6 or more risers, I have to have a switch on the illumination that's required to illuminate the stairs, okay? Not only do I have that, but if this had steps that were going up again and this landing did not go anywhere, then I would not require a switch on this landing. But if the landing has an exit where I can leave the landing to go off onto that floor, then I have to have the switch, right? As long as I have what? 6 or more risers. So it's based on the collection of risers. Okay, so if I have the landing right here and this goes off onto the second floor, but this is a 3-floor building, then I could have steps to this landing and then steps up to another one. And if this left this landing, then I'd have to have a switch here, and a switch whatever the landing is at the top. Again, that type of thing, as long as it is 6 or more steps, okay? And that is 210.70A23, okay? Again, as we do in the Fast Tracks program all the time, when you see code references in the program, if you're in our program, if you want more information on our program, the URL is up there, fasttracksystem.com. Go watch the demo. You'll see great graphics, illustrations. If you get the enhanced program, you also get access to Fast Tracks Tube, where you can watch certain videos on certain topics. But at the end of the day, always in our program or whatever program you use, stop and go read the code references when you're working in the program. That's critical to move in and out. Okay, that's why they're there. Don't just take this. This may be actually verbatim of what's in the code, let's just say. But that doesn't stop you from your obligation to, every time you see a chevron, stop, go to your code book, okay? That should be your thought process. And that's going to do what? That's going to help you learn to maneuver the code a little bit better. That's the whole goal, is to help you do it. All right, when it comes to hallways, y'all know this, right? If the length is less than 10 feet, then ain't no receptacle required. Now, common sense may dictate that we put one there. If it's just simply going to pop it right off the bedroom or pop it right off the lighting circuit for the hall and just, boom, go down and hit that receptacle, that makes sense to add one. But you're not required, okay, if it's less than 10 feet. Now, measuring a hallway. The hallway measures 10 feet or more in length, must have at least one receptacle outlet in it. Okay? Now, this is funny because people think when you see the term one receptacle outlet that they mean that it must be a duplex. Now, that makes most common sense. We're going to put a duplex. But we're really talking about the receptacle outlet, and that is the box where you're putting the receptacle in it. That's what becomes a receptacle outlet. The receptacle itself is a device. So I could put a simplex in there in honor of James. James is here, Mr. Simplex. I could put a single in there that kind of would look funny in a hallway. I mean, I think it would to see a simplex there. I would think it's something special if I saw a single there. So probably going to be a duplex, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. But a duplex is actually 2 devices. Okay, one device with 2 receptacles on it. That type of scenario. So anyway, one strap. Okay. All right. Anyway, so here's your measure of your hallway. So this one is 9 feet 11 right here. That would not require a receptacle in here. Can you put one in? Absolutely. Do I have to add any additional load calculation for this? People ask. No, it's covered in the 3VA. You're okay. Just pop one in here. You can come off the lighting circuit that's in this hall. You can come off the bedroom circuit if you want. That type of thing. That's fine. Okay? Not a problem. Now, what about a hall that's curved? And you may have an exit, an entry to a room here, and it goes around a corner. Well, these are easy because you're going to use the center line and where they intersect. So you're just going to measure from here, and it intersects center line, and then from here, center line. So you measure this entire length. Okay. So in this case, this is 6, and this is 3, so 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 6 and 6, so that is 12. So this is going to be over 10 feet. Okay, well, it's over 10 feet. Okay. So, well, it's at least 10 feet. Let's put it that way. So I have 6, 79, and then 6 and 6 is 10. So this would require 10 feet or more, would require a receptacle outlet. So boom, they put it right here. You could put it over here. You could put it over here. You could put it down here. You could put it over here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you have one in here. And basically, this is a convenient receptacle to encourage us to things like for vacuum cleaners. In my case, it'd be like a night light that my wife would put in the hallway or something like that. Interesting thing, in my house that I have now, I have no hallways. The way the house is designed, I don't really have anything that would constitute a hallway in this whole entire house. Isn't that interesting? It's a very open floor plan. And again, as we get older, I'm thankful of a more open floor plan. I don't care much for long hallways and long corridors and things like that. But now you know how to apply it. Now, if the length is 10 feet or more, again, that receptacle is required. Okay, not required here, but probably prudent to put one in. And for all of you out there that say, Paul, I never do code. I always go above code. Okay, well, this is for you. Put that receptacle outlet there because you always go above the code minimums. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hold on, let me give you that real quick. You do you, boo. All right. All right. Luminaires, types that are not permitted in closed closets. Okay. Just the low hanging fruit stuff to remember, especially on an exam. Remember these code references, right? Says pendant luminaires or lamp holders, 410.16c. So you can't have this type of pendant and you can't have a lamp holder, right? It's going to have an open lamp. Okay, or a light bulb, if you will. Okay, make Thomas Edison very happy. Call it a light bulb, but it is a lamp, by the way. And if you look at his patent, he does call it a lamp, right? Let's see. Val says, so you add a receptacle that's less than 10 feet. No count another 1500 VA. I don't know where you're confused. Why would you use 1500 VA? That was 1500 VA when we were doing small appliance brand circuits. That's a hallway. Hallway is not covered in the requirements for any 1500 VA. It's not found under 210.11 C1 or C2 or C3 or C4, by the way. It's just another receptacle. Again, that's another thing that got asked on a great that you should bring that up. People says, does the NEC require you to use 180 VA per receptacle, even though it's a dwelling? And the answer to that is no, it does not. Okay, if they are general use receptacles, and even if you're adding additional ones, like maybe a receptacle in the attic, and you're coming off of a general use branch circuit, a bedroom would be a general use branch circuit. If you're coming off of that, or the lighting, general use lighting and general illumination, you're coming off to add, that's already covered in the 3 VA per square foot. You don't have to add anything additional to it, okay? That's why we do an unfinished basement. We still, since it can be adaptable for future use, we have to account for that square footage. Why? Because it gives you that extra 3 VA per square foot for that area. And that's going to cover the general illumination and the general receptacles in that area if people plan to finish it off at a future date, right? So yeah, if you're adding some extra receptacles somewhere and you're coming off the general use brand circuit, no, you don't have to add any other additional VA to it. It's already in the 3 VA per square foot. Does that answer your question, Van? Hopefully it does. All right, so pendant luminaires or lamp holders, not allowed in closed closets. Okay. Now, incandescent luminaires with open or partially enclosed lamp holders are not allowed in there. Okay. So I can't have pendants. Got it. Can't have lamp holders. Got it. Can't have incandescent luminaires that have an open, and some of these may have it's got like a canopy on it, but you still see the lamps. That's not going to work. I know people do it and I've seen it. That's not going to work because they are partially enclosed or open, okay? And if they're incandescent, it's not going to work. If the luminaire is designed to hold incandescent, just because you may screw in some fluorescent or CFLs or something like that or LEDs in it, it does not change the intent of that luminaire, and somebody could come along and put an incandescent. So when you buy something that's going to go in a closet, it's either listed for closet application or it's going to be something that is totally enclosed. Okay, there you go. So again, I I do not understand why this is the platform Kick that has all of these people who want to share stuff. I don't understand. I'm not trying to gain followers over on Kick. I'm not a gamer. I don't understand why people do that. Anyway, I guess it's the nature of that platform. I may or may not get rid of Kick if I start getting a bunch of these things. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's go. All right. What's up, Edgar? Welcome. All right. So let's go here. All right. Okay. So what types are permitted in a closed closet? All right. So again, you're saying, I get it, Paul. You tell me what can't be in there, but now let's talk about what can be in there. If you have any questions also, please put them in the comments. Let me know. Again, I don't stream to Instagram anymore in case people wondered. So luminaires that can go in closed closets. Well, I can put recessed incandescent or light emitting diode LEDs. Okay. I can put those in there within a completely enclosed light source. All right. 410 6B. So yes, I can have incandescents in there, but they're recessed. And they have to have a lens on it or a cover on it. So it has to be completely enclosed. Okay, I can do that. That's not a problem. What about surface mounted incandescent? I don't know that anybody's buying those anymore. Maybe they are. They're probably still out there. Yeah, in fact, I know they are because you can still get them with you screw in the incandescent lamps in them. I know we said that they were going to be stopped making them, but they seem to be still very much available. So I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, so I can do a surface mounted incandescent. That'd be like this here, right? And an LED. I can do an LED type as well with a completely enclosed light source. So here you see it's got a lens cover. It goes on it. It's surface mounted. I'm okay with that too. By the way, please note these code references because if you're studying, that you can remember, okay, I'm dealing with a closed closet. Oh, and by the way, we have a great interactive video over on Fast Tracks Tube that talks about closed closet luminaires. It's an interactive. It's one of our interactive. It's the first one that we did. It's available on Fast Tracks Tube. Go check it out. It's kind of you answer questions as you go. Surface mounted fluorescent luminaires. Absolutely. So here's a surface mounted fluorescent luminaire. I don't even know how many of these are really being used today. Okay, that type of stuff. We haven't gotten into spacing yet, man. So here is the surface mounting. Yep. And then you can have recessed fluorescent luminaires, much like this right here. Check that out. Okay. What's up, Cray? Glad to have you here. All right, spacing. So let's talk a little bit about the spacing that goes into that closet. Speak of the devil, Van Man. We'll talk about spacing. So it says the depth of the closet space above either... Okay, wait a minute. The depth of the closet storage space above either 6 feet or to the highest clothes hanging rod, if you don't have a shelf, by the way, is 12 inches or the width of the shelf, whichever is greater. Okay, and I think we have a picture of that. Okay, the NEC also has a great picture of that. Okay, so what this is saying is that if you have a closet and you have shelving, if you don't have shelving and you have clothes hangers, then the measurement is, again, that space for storage above it is going to be what? It's going to be 12 inches minimum up. However, you could have a shelf that is actually around there above the clothes, around the clothes hangers above the clothes hanging area. And that would be whatever the width of the shelf is, okay? Whichever is greater. So a minimum of 12 inches, right? Because somebody could put a shelf there even if there isn't one there. Okay, makes sense. Somebody come in and stick a shelf there. Okay, but we have to have either the width of the shelf or 12 inches, whichever is greater. Now, again, we can't dictate what somebody does later. They could come in and put some freaky shelf in there. But again, we do have at least minimums we have to follow. And this is a rule that's going to guard the space regardless of whether a shelf there is not. And I'll show you an example of that. Now, the dimensions. And then we're going to go look at the NEC because the NEC's really got a better graphic, I think, when it shows these dimensions. So we'll go look at the NEC. But the closet storage space extends from the floor to a height of 6 feet. Okay, so it goes from the floor. Good morning, Frank. Glad to have you here. Up 6 feet. Okay, or to the height of the closet rod. Okay. All right. Now, so this storage space around your closet encompasses everything from when you enter into the door, everything around it. It's going to go from the floor up to 6 feet or to the clothes hanging rod, okay, to the highest clothes rod, okay? All right, we got it. I don't see many rods that are higher than 6 feet. That'd be huge. But again, there's some shirt hanging rods and stuff that maybe you get some of these custom clothes closets. You know, I've seen some. This guy in Oklahoma. This clothes closet is amazing. And I'm like, dude, I never have enough clothes to ever fill that thing, but it's amazing. Now, the depth of the clothes storage space is 24 inches. So picture this in your mind. You're going into a closet. Maybe it's the same size as this picture you see of me right here. Okay, and the door is right here. So this part of the clothes closet right here, this is going to go up 6 feet or to the highest clothes hanging rod, and it's going to come out 24 inches. So you've got this little space right here in the middle where my head is. Okay, that is your space. Okay, so that is your storage space around. Now, above that space is where you have to have the width of the shelf or 12 inches if you don't have a shelf there. Make sense? But we'll look at it in a graphic, okay? Now, the closet storage space extends up from the floor to a height of 6 feet or to the highest hanging rod. Okay, so that's redundant. We said that up here, so it's basically the same language right here. Let's go look at the code really quick and see, just kind of see it in practice. And there is a better, we have a graphic, but I really like the NFPA's graphic because it's just simplified. So let's go right here. So right here, I like this. So see what I said? Remember that little picture? Remember I'm talking about? Right here. So here's where the door you come in. Oops. Here's where the door you come in, right? And then you have, I'm sorry for the view. You know what? Let's go to the bigger view. Makes it a little easier. Here we go. So I have 24 inches out. This is just a standard closet. You're walking in from this angle. So you go 24 inches out all the way around. It kind of cocoons, if you will, around the space. And it goes 24 inches and it goes up to 6 feet or the height of the highest rod, right? And that creates this little space around it that's 24 inches out. And it wraps all the way around your closet space. And then from the shelf, it goes 12 inches or the width of the shelf up to the ceiling. Okay, so this means if I don't have a shelf there, it's still, to create the area where we can put the luminaire, then we have to at least assume 12 inches, even if the shelf wasn't there. If a shelf is there, then we have to take the width of the shelf into consideration, and it may be greater than 12 inches. It may be a 16-inch shelf. Well, that's just going to reduce the amount of space you have in here. And why is that important? Because this extends up to the ceiling, and you're going to use these planes to measure off from where you can have luminaires in this space, okay? So that they don't come in contact with this storage area, so that people will be storing all kinds of stuff up in there, you know, their hats, their shoes, their whatever, you know, blankets, whatever. So again, got to have those spaces. So this is pretty decent depiction. So let's talk about the various luminaires. So here you just kind of see the layout here. Okay, so see this one over here on the left? I'll zoom in real quick so you can kind of get a better idea. So see this one over here? So you've got multiple rack locations, rods. So here's the rod, highest rod. Okay, so you got 6 feet or to the highest rod, right? It comes out 24 inches, right. This does have a shelf, so it's going to be the width of the shelf up to the ceiling, okay? So this is going to be at least 12 inches or the width of the shelf, but this looks like to me right here that this is, let's just say this is 12 inches, okay? Because it looks like it's half of the 24, so we'll just go with that. So that is your storage space. So imagine this wraps all the way around your closet. Putting your luminaires in there. Okay, so here is a recessed incandescent. Here is a surface-mounted incandescent. We'll use that. Could be a surface-mounted LED, but we'll just go with the obvious. A surface-mounted incandescent, it's all enclosed, right? Here you see there's a lens on this one right here. Okay, not just the lamp, but there's a lens on it, okay? And then here is our surface-mounted fluorescent, Okay. Don't know, do we see those anymore? Do you guys doing those anymore in even the fluorescents in closets? Are you still putting the surface? I know you put them sometimes on the back of the door. I do have one in my house over top of the door, that type of thing. And so, because that's right in the center where, and then of course over here, we have showing you a recessed fluorescent up in there, okay? All right, so you're just seeing some examples right here. Here's the storage shelf. Now, this is an example where it is in the middle of the room, okay? And so you still have your rule where you're going to have up to your rod, right? You've still got your storage space, okay? Didn't change. You still have your storage space, okay? And then above it, you have your shelf. And, of course, what does it say? It says the shelf is 12 inches or the width, whichever is greater. So this example is one, and I'm not sure how they do it, but this is kind of floating out in the room here. And so, again, that's the width of the shelf. And then you measure from that plane. And that's where that luminaire can go. And that's the closest. Okay, so let's look at those. All right, so surface-mounted fluorescent luminaires, that'd be like this right here, shall have a minimum 6 inches clearance between the luminaire and the nearest point of the closed storage space. And we just saw how we designed that space. Okay, so here it is right here. Right there. So that is 6 inches. Right there. Okay, can y'all see it? Right there. 6 inches. Okay. Notice it's 6 inches from the lamp, not the deflector, from the lamp. Okay, measure. Boom, right there. All right, make sense? Okay, that is 410.16D2. Next, surface-mounted incandescents or LED. Okay, so that would be here, right? So this is a surface mount right here. Whether it's an incandescent, it's all enclosed, right? Our surface, so there we go. And so this says surface-mounted incandescents or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed light source shall have a minimum of 12 inches clearance between the luminaire and the nearest point of the closet storage space. Okay, so right here. Looks to me like this distance is the same as this distance, which looks like it's this distance. So this looks like this is 12 inches. Okay, so there you go. Right there from the edge. Okay, can't get to the lamp, so you'd measure this from the outer profile of the luminaire. These you can get to the lamp. These you cannot. Makes sense? All right, and so that's those two. All right, let's go on. Okay, so the next one, it says, okay, well, what about that recessed incandescent or recessed LED luminaire that has a completely enclosed light source? Means it's covered, it's lens on it, and everything. So the lamp is inside of it. You got a frosted cover or a clear cover or whatever you got. You don't just see the lamp itself, okay? All right, if that's what you got, then this one says, and this is the one we're talking about right here. Okay, could be LED with a cover on it, incandescent with a lens cap built on it. Most of those LEDs are already going to have a cover integrated with it anyway, so it's kind of a no-brainer. All right, so it says recessed incandescent or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed light source shall have a minimum 6 inches clearance between the luminaire and the nearest point of the storage. So this is why you see right here, this is a reduced distance. This is only 6 inches. So yes, you can have incandescents in there as long as they have a lens cover on it, okay, protective covering, or the recessed LEDs, and they typically will be designed, if they're the puck or the slim ones, they're already going to have a built-in lens where the LEDs are encompassed as part of the actual assembly. It's already built into it, so it takes care of itself. But the code doesn't assume that. That's why it says it the way it says it. But most of these manufacturers already take care of all that good stuff. Now, recessed, the last one, these fluorescent right here, the recessed fluorescent luminaires, again, they are fluorescent, the same. They shall have a minimum of 6 inches clearance between the luminaire and the nearest point of the storage. So that is the last one right here. So this is a recessed fluorescent. And again, you go from here. Okay, that's the profile. Measure over. And this is where you'd measure your 6 inches. And you're perfectly fine. Okay? Makes sense? Any of that, question any of that, please ask now or forever hold your peace. Okay, so for a closet with access on both sides, so this is what we're talking about here, where it's actually a big closet and you can get to this space on both sides. It says, for closet with access on both sides of the hanging rod, the storage space shall include the volume below the highest rod extending 12 inches on either side. So that's where you get your 24. So in this scenario, you can get to this storage space because of both sides. Maybe there's just a way this closet is made. Bigger closet with 2 openings, and you have the side walls, and then you actually go in and you can get to each side. So maybe it's a closet with 2 doors. A wrap around, whatever it is, I don't know. But in this case, from the rod, you make sure that you go 12 inches out, 12 inches out. That gives you the 24 inches. That's typical space for a hanging garment, and that's fine. And remember, the shelf is based 12 inches or the width, okay? 12 inches or the width. Dude, this guy is relentless, okay? Obviously, the block doesn't work, but I think what we're going to do is I think I'm going to get rid of Kik, guys, because this seems to be nothing but troublemakers on Kik. They're nothing but trying to get people, and I don't know of any way to block them, to be honest with you. It doesn't allow. See this kind of crap? I know I'm giving it credence to show it, but I don't want your followers, okay? That type of thing. Anyway, I don't even know how I would block somebody like that. So interesting is if I go here, this is funny. Let me go to my channel real quick. See if I can even block an individual. I don't think I can. Yeah, I don't think you can. Yeah, you can't. You really can't block anybody. That type of thing. So that's a problem with that platform, is that let's see here. You really have no way of blocking anybody. That type of scenario. That's kind of funny, because it would be nice if you could block people, but you really can't. Yeah, actually you can. Hold on. Let me see if I can block this guy. Let's see if I can block him. Hold on. I'm just playing around, guys. So just bear with me. I'm going to see if I can block somebody. This would be whether or not I, keep a platform or not, that type of thing. I'm always interested to see how this works. Let's see here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this platform, so I'm just trying to see how I would block a user. But it's like it doesn't let me, so they know better. So these folks know better and how they do things, that type of thing. So anyway, where was I? I'm sorry. I take you off of my topic. I let somebody like that. That's what they wanted. They wanted to get me off of the topic. All right. So anyway, where you go? There you go. I noticed your channel. There's another one on there. Wow. Incredible. Okay. So folks, what we're going to do is we're not going to use Kik anymore. Other platforms I can kill people and block people. So obviously I can on that platform. So we'll get rid of that platform, Kik, that type of thing. All right. So anyway, let's see. So for a closet with access on both sides, again, just make sure you realize you're still going to have your 24 inches. You still got your 6 feet or to the height of the highest rod. Okay. And then, of course, your shelf is at least 12 inches. Unless there's a shelf there, then it has to be whatever the width of the shelf is. And it's clear all the way up to the ceiling, right? What's up, Dave? What's up, Sparky? I see you in here. Okay. Bathrooms. Let's talk bathrooms. Okay, so now you're wiring those bathrooms. Okay, closets, we handled it. Hallways, we handled it. General receptacle layouts in kitchen, we handled it. Countertop, we handled that in the last episode. What about the bathroom? Well, all 125 volt through 250 volt receptacles installed in these locations specified in 210.8A1 through A12 and supplied by single phase brand circuits rated 150 volts or less to ground. That's going to be all your typical 120 to 40 volt applications. Okay. As far as the branch circuits that you're running, shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection, 210.8A. Okay, so A is dwellings. Now, we're not in commercial. Even though in 210.8B is still going to require, if you put receptacles in a bathroom, commercial bathroom, for example, they got to be GFCI protected. But here it's very clear in a dwelling, GFCI protection. Okay. Now, Bathrooms are again listed in 210.8A1. It's the very first one you get to. So any receptacle that you install in there has to be GFCI protected. So maybe I'm installing the receptacles that are serving the countertop, GFCI protected. But maybe I'm installing a receptacle in there for whatever reason because the code will allow me to run additional circuits to this bathroom. If it's a receptacle, it's got to be GFCI protected. Now, somebody said to me, well, what if it's a hydro massage bathtub that has a motor that is cord and plug underneath the hydro massage bathtub? Well, that already has rules in 680 that's going to require GFCI protection, right? But it is a receptacle in a bathroom, so it's, again, would be still required to be GFCI protected. The other question, and people say, well, what if I have a dedicated circuit, say a 15 amp circuit in this bathroom running to a bidet? The answer is, doesn't matter. It's a receptacle that's in the bathroom, so it's got to be GFCI protected. It's a no-brainer, okay? It's a no bueno. Let's see. Okay, so bathrooms. What is a bathroom? Now, this is important for code folks because you don't always have a bathroom. And you might have other rules that require GFCI protection, but you don't always have a bathroom. Why? Well, because of the nature of how things are split up. What is a bathroom? Well, we have a definition in Article 100, so this should make it a little easier. An area includes a basin, sink, it's basin, with one or more of the following. Now, we have this question on our exam prep all the time, and I'm going to tell you, I ain't lying. Probably, and I'm not hating, I'm saying probably 80% of the people get this question wrong when it's really obvious, right? Is that in a bathroom, for example, in order to be a bathroom, then we have to have two elements, at least two elements. So I have to have a sink. That's the first element. Got to have a sink. So when I asked you this question in the exam prep, we're just trying to make sure you're reading the question. And we do that a lot in our program. You may not recognize it. Other people don't do this. We do. We'll put stuff in there. We might ask you for inches when something listed in the code is in feet because we want to make you convert it. Why are we doing this? Because I don't believe in exam prep programs that we just sell you a video or we just sell you stuff and you just mindlessly go through it. We are constantly trying to make you think. So I want the answer that answers the question. So in this scenario, what constitutes a bathroom? Well, many people will put toilet and urinal, or tub and toilet, or that type of, but they forget that the sink is the critical component. You have to have a sink to be a bathroom. I've got the sink, and it has to have one or more of the other. So it's a sink in a toilet, a sink in a urinal, a sink in a bathtub, a sink in a shower, a sink in a bidet, okay, or something similar. The reason we have similar plumbing fixtures is because the industry is coming up with other things. If it takes number one and number two, then it's probably going to be a similar plumbing fixture as one of these listed. I'm just saying. So at the end of the day, it's a catch-all. Again, because I liked how that sounded. If you take a number one or a number two, then it's probably going to be a similar plumbing fixture as one of these others that got mentioned. I'm just saying. Okay? All right. So anyway, so you could have an area that is basically has a shower that does not have a sink and is not a bathroom. But in the National Electrical Code, 210.8A is going to cover bathtubs and shower stalls so that if you have any receptacle within 6 feet of it, it's going to require GFCI protection on those receptacles as well. Anyway, so we got you covered. But it's so important because when it starts making references in the code to bathroom, well, we really do need to know what a bathroom is because those same rules may not apply to other receptacles in other areas that may be more than 6 feet that aren't technically a bathroom, okay? Maybe a powder area, that type of thing. So again, critical. Now, AHJs will say, look, if I go through a doorway and I go into an area that leads off from a bathroom, or even if it comes off and it branches off into two separate rooms, if I enter into an area that qualifies as a bathroom and these other areas that enter off may or may not qualify as a bathroom, may have a closet, or you may have another area, a powder room, the next question that the AHJ, and again, I can't define this for you, is that room or is that area considered a bathroom? Well, my personal belief is if I have a doorway threshold and you enter in and it breaks out and goes into separate rooms that do not have the elements to qualify as a bathroom, then I don't consider them a bathroom. I consider the area that has the sink and the toilet or the sink in the tub or the sink in the urinal, I consider that area. That's why it says bathroom is an area, okay? So again, some people can disagree with me, and that is perfectly fine to disagree with me. You do you, boo. But I tell people, if I've had these big homes where you go into this area where it leads into what's a bathroom, but then it has these very nice rooms that go off of that are past that entry, and that's a very big and nice clothes closet. I'm not going to consider that part of the bathroom. It has a doorway, it has a threshold. I'm going to do that differently. No different than if I'm walking down a hallway and I turn and go through that threshold into a bedroom. I'm now in a bedroom, okay? We have to use common sense. We do. So, does everybody use common sense? Probably not. But, I mean, we got to try. Also, it says one or more lighting outlets controlled by a wall switch are required in a bathroom. Okay, so kitchens and bathrooms and stairways, for example, are areas where switching is required by a wall switch. In bedrooms, for example, I can, in lieu of a switched lighting outlet, I could switch a receptacle. Okay, so, I mean, I have options. I don't have those options in a kitchen. I don't have those options in a bathroom, and I don't have that option on a stairway where I've got to illuminate the stairway. Okay, those have to have switching devices. Okay, so again, and I'm going to say that the reason is in the bathroom is if the light goes, if somebody turns the light off or whatnot while you're shaving or doing something that you would kill yourself. I'm just saying. That's probably not the reason. Okay, but I'm just saying. All right. All right, so what about in that bathroom? What about the receptacle for that sink? All right, so that work area, that's that basin area, okay? All right, so the code says I have to have at least one receptacle be located within 3 feet of the outside edge of each basin or lavatory. 210.52D. Now we'll go look at that just because we want to work our way back in the code a little bit. So I'll go to 210. These are low-hanging fruit stuff as well, folks, on an electrical exam, okay? So I'm going to go down to 210.52D just so we can look at it right here. So here's the bathroom, okay? Here's the bathrooms. Oh, and by the way, you notice this is under dot 52. I've told y'all this is the Holy Grail, and where you're looking at receptacle placements and where they got to go and spacing and all. Just remember, dot 52, the Holy Grail of placement, okay? So it says at least one receptacle outlet shall be installed in bathrooms within 3 feet of the outside edge of each sink. Now, when people read that, they literally think that if I had a double sink, like this sink here, and I had another one right here, let's say, and ignore all this distance. If I had 2 sinks here, they literally think that I'd have to have a separate receptacle for each one of these sinks. So if I had 2 sinks, I have to have 2 receptacles. That is not true. So this one's just requiring at least one within the outside edge of each basin. Well, if this one is within 3 feet of the outside edge of this basin, and let's say there was another basin down here, it's not within 3 feet of this one, then it would require another one. But if this one receptacle, even if I had multiple basins, if the one receptacle, okay, is within 3 feet of both of those basins, boom, bam, thank you, ma'am. I don't have to install any additional receptacle outlets. I'm done. Now, can you install more? Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. But you're not required to. If that receptacle outlet, okay? There you go. Jonathan, he's in our Fast Tracks program, and Jonathan just went through Unit 6, and all of this should be emblazoned in Jonathan's mind right now. He's like, all of this stuff now is like, geez, I learned so much in Unit 6, that you don't get by doing exam prep questions. You don't get by some of these video courses where they just kind of touch the surface. Our program goes deep, and it should be emblazoned in your brain by the time you move through Unit 6. And if not, go back and do it again because you were going through it too quick. All right, so there's that at least one, right? And so that's 210.52D, right? What's up, Poppy? Glad to have you here. All right, now, bathroom receptacle outlets shall be supplied by at least one 120 volt, 20 ampere branch circuit. That is 210.11C3. Oh, by the way, remember that 3 VA per square foot that we were talking about to determine how many branch circuits we need? Guess what? We don't need to figure any more math. No 1500 VA. We don't need to do any of that. These are all covered in that 3 VA per square foot. So if you want to put another one in here, you go for it. Do I have to add something to the calculation? Absolutely not. You're perfectly fine, okay? It's still fine, not an issue, because it's encompassed in the 3 VA per square foot. All right, so anyway, so there's your bathroom. Now, can I use a 15 amp circuit for this receptacle? Absolutely not. Has to be a 20 amp because it says at least one 20 amp, okay? Now, can I have a 15 amp receptacle in this bathroom? Okay, here's where people lose it. Ready? Can I have a 15 amp branch circuit to a receptacle in this bathroom, or does every branch circuit that runs to a bathroom have to be 20 amp? The answer to that is, are you ready for this? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Hold on, let me get it ready.
Yes, you can have an additional branch circuit in a bathroom. Yes, it can be 15 amps for like a bidet or for a specific application or specific use. Yes, you can.
All right, enough of that. So if I want, but the one that serves the countertop, that must be 20 amp. Have additional branch circuits in there? Absolutely. And here's the funny part. You've been doing this for years because when you run an individual branch circuit through a hydrosized bathtub and you're running it to the motor, you're running that circuit in the bathroom, aren't you? Okay. Get what I'm saying? Anyway. So, all right. So anyway, there we go. We got it. Creepy code. All right, so there you go. So can I have additionals? Yes, I can, but the one that serves the countertop has to be the 20, and no, you don't have to add any additional VA to that calculation for the load calc, okay? It's already encompassed. All right, so let's talk about a discussion question here. Provide examples of the types of equipment that may be utilized in a dwelling unit bathroom and discuss why a 20 amp circuit is required. Well, one of the most common applications used in a bathroom is for hair dryers. Not for me, okay? And probably not for many of you. But for my wife, or if you have other people that are blessed with hair, and I might have been blessed with hair back 35 years ago, but that has since lost that blessing. So people that use hair. Now, I will use a razor in there, but of course my razor is cordless, right? But here's an interesting thing. This is more information that you need to know. When I get all scruffy like this, I do not use a razor. I use my hair, my clippers. I just knock it all down first, right? Just a pure razor. I knock it all down first, and then I use the electric razor. Does that make sense? How many of you do that? Give me a hell yeah. When you get scruffy like this because you're a lazy fat guy, then what you do is I just knock this down. I do not let that little cordless try to rip through all this because it'd be painful. It'd be like, no. I'm going to use the same razor. I clip on a number 1 and do this, right? And that's it. I do my own hair, by the way. I'm not on my tightwad. It's just like there ain't a whole hell of a lot here. So it's just easy. And I don't want to go bald yet because I got a little bit here, okay? But anyway, so that's what I do to knock it down, and then I use the razor. It makes your razor blades last longer, that type of thing. I'm just saying that's what I do. I don't know what you do, but that's what I do. All right. So any rate, that's a common appliance as a hairdryer. So some hair dryers have a rating of 2,000 watts. Some have 1,500 watts, 1,600 watts. Okay, whichever one, whatever puts out the most heat. Okay. So if you get your wife a 2000 watt and for some reason it trips something, then you'll probably go into Walmart and buying one that's like 1500 watts or 1200 and say, you know what? Yeah, baby, it takes you a little longer, but I'm just saying. All right, now, to find out what the amps that thing draws, obviously 2000 watts divided by 120 is 16.67 amps. Obviously, that would have a problem with the 15 amp, okay? You know, what is with you, Poppy, and your king? What are you talking about? What are you doing? Are you talking about the parades? It was successful. We don't have a king, okay? But we still have a president, and whether y'all like him or not, he's still yours. Am I going to be? I'm going to be king of the U.S. Boy, the whole U.S. would go to hell if I was a king. That's for sure. All right. So let's talk a little more about this bathroom circuit. So look here. It says a branch circuit that is providing power to the bathroom receptacle. Okay, we're talking the countertop one, the one that's serving the countertop or work surfaces or desktop or surface tops in a bathroom. That is required to be at least 20 amps. Okay. And of course, it has to be within 3 feet. You have to have one at least 3 feet. Can you have other ones? Yes, but I have to have at least one that is within 3 feet of the outside of the basins or the sinks. Got you. We already covered that. Now, it says a branch circuit provides power to the bathroom receptacle, may also provide power to other equipment, such as lighting and exhaust fans, but only within the same bathroom. So people ask me all the time and say, hey, Paul, what if I got a single apartment or single dwelling and I have one bathroom? I grew up in a house that had one bathroom, 3 boys, one bathroom, okay? And that scenario is I have an exception where it says, you know what? I'm going to let you run that 20 amp branch circuit, and rather than force you to put another branch circuit in there to cover the lighting, I'm going to let you use that 20 amp branch circuit, and I'm going to let you pick up the lighting and the little exhaust fan that may be in there. And I'm going to let you put all that on. That's the exception. I'm going to let you put that on the same circuit. But here's the caveat. That circuit can't leave that bathroom. That's it. So when it comes to that bathroom, it has to stay in that bathroom. It can't loop out to another bathroom. Okay? Now, that's if you want to use the exception. If my lighting, for example, in that bathroom is coming off my bedroom, right? And then the only branch circuit I'm running is to that receptacle. If I did have another bathroom, then I could go from that receptacle and loop it to the receptacle in another bathroom. As long as I'm not picking up any other lighting, as long as I'm just doing the receptacles, then the code is okay with that. But if I want to run a single circuit to that bathroom to serve that receptacle within 3 feet of the basin, but that circuit's not going anywhere else out of that bathroom, can I also put the lighting on it and even power the exhaust fan? Absolutely, I can. And that's what it says in the code under the exception. Okay? All right. So here's an example right here. Here's that 20 amp circuit. It's doing that bathroom GFCI protected receptacle. Boom. Okay? It can do other receptacles in that bathroom. It can do the lighting in that bathroom, that type of thing. Just be careful because you could have a heat light combo or you could have another receptacle that's supplying another load. Then you got to be careful about loading depending on what's plugged in. Then you got to worry about requirements of 210.23 and all that kind of stuff. So just be careful, or 210.21. I can't remember. But you have to worry about those scenarios because that would be additional loads. But in general, yeah, I can pick the lighting up, as long as that branch circuit does not leave that bathroom, okay? Now, what about down here? This 20 amp circuit, okay, there's the bathroom GFCI receptacle, got you. And to other receptacles in other bathrooms. Absolutely, you can do that. I just talked about it. But you can't pick up any of the lighting. You can't pick up anything else. Only the receptacles used for bathroom receptacles. That's it, that are meet the requirements within 3 feet of the outside edge of the basin. Those are the only ones that you're picking up, okay? You have options. You have an exception, and this exception is for those very small homes that may have that one bathroom. Or maybe you're the kind of guy that goes, you know what, I do this in all my bathrooms. I might have 3 bathrooms, but and all I have is an exhaust fan and a ceiling light or a vanity light, and I've got the receptacle. Well, maybe you're like, dude, I'm just going to run that 20 amp circuit to there and pick up everything. And maybe I'm going to do that to the other bathroom. I'm going to run a 20 amp. I'm going to pick up everything. That's fine. You can do that method. That's using the exception. Just make sure you don't leave that bathroom. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the lighting around areas where you may have the shower, the tub, and all this other good stuff. Okay. All right. So, or, I haven't seen these sunken tubs, to be honest with you. I saw them one time in Vegas. I was out in Vegas and I stayed in a room, and the actual tub, sunken hot tub, same concept, because it was their bathtub. It drained. So it was a tub, but it was out in the middle of the freaking floor, out over in a corner. I was like, dude, what am I in, like a honeymoon suite? What am I going to get my swerve on? And I'm out here in Vegas? No, that didn't happen. So I'm just saying, and what happens in Vegas typically stays in Vegas. But you know what? I've been married for 40 damn years. If I got lucky in Vegas, shit, I'm telling the world, because again, that'd be a rare event. I'm just saying. Stars would have to align. The earth would slow down and possibly start spinning the other direction. I'm just saying, if I got lucky at these, anyway. So let's see. So bathroom is shower zone. So let's look at it here. So receptacles and no parts of cord connected luminaires, chain, cable, or cord suspended luminaires. So nothing that hangs on a chain, nothing that hangs on a cord, all of that luminaires in there, or suspended paddle fans. None of that, okay, can actually extend down into what we call the zone, okay? And so again, 410.10D1 and 406.9C, we're going to cover that. 406 is receptacle driven. 410 is going to be the luminaire driven aspect of it. Okay. So right down here, let's look here. So here's your sink and tub. So here it says the bathtub zone. So folks, y'all have heard me talk about what is the zone of a bathtub, okay, or the shower. Now the shower, by the way, is right at the threshold, right at the point of the shower where you step into the shower. That's your threshold, okay? So that scenario is what? Horizontally and vertically, okay? 8 feet up, 3 feet out. 8 feet up, 3 feet out. This is that magical zone that you can have cord connected, chain connected, pendants type of luminaires, suspended ceiling fans. But here's what people ask me. They go, well, Paul, what about above that 8 feet? Yes, you can have those things as long as it's above the 8 feet. Nobody's going to be reaching those. I'm just saying. Okay, even Shaquille O'Neal is not going to be able to reach those. I'm just saying. Okay. All right. Well, he might be able to reach them. But anyway, so this is an example of your sunken tub. So this zone that you cannot have these luminaires in, for example, are going to be out 3 feet, both directions of this one. If your tub was against the wall, then it's going to be 3 feet from the top of the threshold of the tub. Measure out. And it's going to go up 8 feet. So it says the bathtub zone measured 3 feet horizontally and 8 foot vertically from the top of the bathtub rim or shower stall threshold, and includes the space directly over the tub. So that should go without saying. But even though it measures 3 feet out and 8 feet up, this stuff is a given, because this is directly over the tub area. Okay, so that's why it says it that way. So this is no bueno, but could you move it up here further? Yeah, that'd be fine. As long as it's above that 8 foot zone, 3 foot and 8 foot. This is the magical no-go zone. Now remember, if the tub's against the wall or the shower's against the wall, then you're just measuring from the shower or from the tub out and up, and you're measuring the space above the shower or above the tub as well. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so here is the other one. So in bathrooms with less than the required zone, shall be permitted to be installed opposite the wall. So this one right here refers to, what if I have a small bathroom? Okay, what if I have a really small bathroom and I have my sink? Now this one is big, but what if this space, this countertop with this receptacle, what if it was right here? So what if this whole wall was just moved in right here? So I can't get 3 feet for this receptacle, right? Well, the code says, look, I will let you be less than 3 feet for this receptacle even though it would be in this zone, but it has to be installed what? Opposite of the bathtub rim. So it has to be opposite of it, okay? So if this was moved in here, then it would have to be on this wall right here, opposite the zone, okay? That is the exception. And that is to account for just this small. Now, obviously, it's going to be GFCI protected anyway, but obviously for us, we still have to meet the requirements for the receptacle. I have had people tell me, email me and say, well, Paul, this rule means that if I don't have the space, then I don't have to have the receptacle. No, you still got to meet the receptacle requirement. It's just that you can't meet the other, so we're giving you an allowance to say, okay, it can't be 3 feet away. I get it, but we're going to make you put it on the opposite wall of that space, okay? So step out of the tub, look in front of you, you see the 3-foot space, that is the opposite wall in front of you. Make sense? Okay. It's not brain surgery, but again, sometimes we have to say it, okay? But it also is the farthest wall, so this would be the farthest wall, okay? All right, so bathtub and shower, we're still looking at. All right, what about recess lights? People say, all right, showers, bathtub areas, well, what about recess lights? Okay, well, recess lights, surface-mounted lights, and exhaust fans are permitted within the bathtub zone, okay? Exposed, normally non-current carrying metal parts must be connected to an equipment grounded conductor in accordance with 250.110. So in this zone, it's not pendant, it's not hanging, okay? So surface-mounted, exhaust fans can be in this zone. We did get a change, folks, for the 2023 because inside of these exhaust fans, a lot of times there's a receptacle. And so that receptacle within this zone, technically, I would say it's up into the ceiling, but anyway. So we put an exception there that says, oh, you know what? Don't worry about that receptacle. That's fine. It's just where the fan plugs into. It ain't like some Nimrod's going to pull that down so they can plug something in. But you know what? Efficiency apartment, I can see somebody doing that. I really can see them plugging in one of those little brown cords in order to get another receptacle. People will do the stupidest thing. So I'm just saying. But anyway, there you go. So that would be there. That's okay. This is okay. Now, the only other caveat that I'll point out here that is typically when you have a luminaire that's going to be in these spaces, typically in the instructions, like in this space over here, if this was a shower, let's say, or whatever, then this might be above the shower spray. So this might be a damp location, but not a wet location. If it's below the shower spray, then it'd be a wet location. You might have a wall sconce in here. I've been in quite a few big bathrooms, $1 million homes that their bathroom, when they walk into it, they've got these wall sconces all around. So it's pretty cool, but you got these shower sprays coming from every freaking where. I don't know. It seems like that would be inefficient. Even though it is coming from everywhere and they got so many heads, it just seems like, what a waste of water. I'm going there. I want to wash my butt crack, clean my face, not in that order, by the way, and then get out of there. But I guess some people like to go in a shower and just chill out for a long time. I've never been that kind of guy. I'm in and out, okay? But hey, to each his own. All right, so anyway, a lot of times also, if it's in a damp, you'll take a recess, you'll put a trim on it that will have a grommet on it or a gasket or a seal, and that will turn it into a damp location rated, and that's perfectly fine, okay? Now, this is outside, okay? So again, this is fine, this is fine. By the way, a bathroom is not a wet location. I had somebody post the other day on the internet, and I think Angry sent it to me, whereas a guy was putting receptacles under a counter in a kitchen where the P-trap's at and all this stuff's at, and he said it was a wet location. Dude, it is not a wet location. No more than the bathroom is a wet location. It's not. Yes, it could get steam. Yes, it could get... But that's why the codes require you to have either a window or an exhaust fan to move out those vapors. Okay, we call it a fart fan, but it's not its intended real function. Okay, my wife will beg to differ, but at the end of the day, it's really to move out that air exhaust exchange, get the humidity down so we don't have mold build up and all this kind of other stuff. I'm just saying. Okay, but I guess it does serve multiple functions. It seems to make her happy. All right. All right. Garage receptacles. In each attached garage and in each detached garage with electric power, At least one receptacle outlet shall be installed in each vehicle bay and not more than 5.5 feet above the floor. So if I have a 2-car garage, I have a 3-car garage, I have a 1-car garage, I have to have at least one receptacle outlet in that vehicle space. So if I have a 3-car garage, I have to have one for each vehicle space. They cannot be mounted higher than 5.5 feet, okay? Now, this is for attached garages and detached garages, but only when that detached garage actually has power. That makes sense. Why would you put one in a detached garage that does not have power? That's a no-brainer. We do have a question in our exam that asks it like that, so just be aware of it, that it is only required if the detached garage has power. It's a no-brainer. If it has no power, then you get me. All right, so there you go. 5.5 feet. And that is 210.52G1, by the way. That's where you see that requirement. Okay? Also, I would be remiss if I reminded you that that circuit that you're running to that garage receptacle outlet for each vehicle bay does not require an additional VA. That's encompassed in the 3 VA per square foot. You don't have to have any more for that. I don't have to add 180 VA. We don't do that. Misconception. It is basically already absorbed in it, so you don't have to do anything for that. Doesn't matter how many you want to put either. Okay, people say, well, I'll put 5 or 6. Okay, are you going to actually use 5 or 6 of them at the same time? No, you're not. Diversity, baby. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so what about laundry equipment receptacles? So, all right, again, laundry equipment receptacles shall not be counted as required garage receptacles. So if you happen to have a laundry circuit and you happen to have a receptacle out there for your laundry, that is not going to meet the requirement for each vehicle space, okay? But that is a requirement to have your at least one for your laundry circuit, okay? And also, by the way, the laundry circuit does require a calculation of 1,500 VA, okay? Let's see. In dwelling units, it says at least one receptacle outlet shall be installed in areas designated. Notice how it says areas designated for the installation of laundry equipment. So wherever you're putting your washing machine, a dryer doesn't qualify. You don't have to have a dryer, but you have to have a laundry circuit. And it's at least a 20 amp circuit for laundry. It's 1,500 VA. So it's an area. So wherever you're putting the laundry, the washer, then you would have to have at least one receptacle outlet for that. So you're following the rules of 210.11C2 for the laundry. You have at least one circuit. Now the caveat to this is if you have multifamily dwellings where they have a laundry facility on site, then you may or may not have a laundry circuit, because if it's not required to have that laundry receptacle if there isn't a laundry circuit. And if there isn't a laundry circuit because the code doesn't require one, because a multifamily building has a laundry facility on site. Okay, now, does that mean that you can't add one if you want? If you're the design professional and you want to include a laundry, it's just 1,500 VA. Sure, go ahead, do it. But you're not required. Again, if you don't understand all that, we explain that in our Fast Tracks program when you get to Unit 11, which deals with multifamily buildings, okay? Receptacles are not readily accessible, must have GFCI protection for personnel. All right, so again, reminding you that even if you were to have a garage and the garage requires GFCI protection, you cannot put the GFCI device receptacle type in the ceiling. It would not be readily accessible. You have to use a ladder to get to it. Not going to work. No bueno. Doesn't meet the definition of readily accessible. The same as I'm going to tell you, folks, putting the receptacle behind a refrigerator and having it be a GFCI type receptacle is not readily accessible. If I have to move an object to get to it, even though it may be on wheels, it is not readily accessible. Also, I'm going to give you one more opinion, and you can agree to disagree. Putting a GFCI receptacle underneath the cabinet in the kitchen is not readily accessible because you have to climb under to get in it, okay? We're not a contortionist. You're going to have to go under. Plus, you're probably going to have to remove some obstacles, okay? So at the end of the day, I do not consider that readily accessible. But if you want to argue that out with your AHJ, you do you, boo. But that's not where I'm going to put the receptacle, okay? I'm going to find somewhere else to do it, whether it's a breaker or somewhere upstream in a receptacle before it gets there. I'm not going to be doing that, okay? In a rare case, I had somebody one time have to run a circuit, and they cut in for they ran a disposer circuit, but it was an old panel. And they said, Paul, this is what I did. And I said, all right, what did you do? They ran the circuit. They put a 2-gang box near the sink so they can have the switch for the disposer. And then they had a space beside it. I said, well, what's that space beside it for? He said, because I put a faceless GFCI in there. And on the load side of that, I hit the receptacle that was the disconnect switch for the garbage disposer. And that was his choice because he did not want to put the GFCI in the panel, that type of scenario. And that's just how he did it. And that type of scenario. And the reason he did that was because the circuit was adding that receptacle that was under the sink was within 6 feet of the sink. So it had to have GFCI protection. That is before now all receptacles in a kitchen require GFCI protection. This was in the previous cycle. So that's the only way he could get that protection. He just couldn't do it in the panel because of the, it wasn't, I don't know what his reason was, but that's what he did. But he asked me, can I put the receptacle down down underneath? And I'm like, I don't believe you can in my interpretation of it, because I believe that, and my old rule was, if my 80-year-old grandmother, she's been dead a long time ago, but if she has to crawl down on her knees to get down to do that testing that's required every month, and we know you all test these things every month, right? So in that case, I don't consider it readily accessible. That's my opinion. You can agree to disagree. Let's go. All right, so here's your garage. A lot of receptacles in here. Okay, here's my laundry area. It's still in a garage, but that's where they put the washer and dryer. So that is my laundry area. Okay, so in this case, all 125 volt through 250 volt receptacles installed in the location specified in 210.8A through A12. Okay, so that is A of 210.8. That's dwelling units. Gives you a laundry list of locations that require receptacles to be protected by GFCI. Okay, you can do that at the panel or even at the receptacle if you choose under 210.8A. All right, so it says are supplied by single phase branch circuits rated 150 volts or less to ground, or less. I think that's just a double whatever. Shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection. Okay, so if you look right here, just so craps and giggles, what do we have? We've got, here's a receptacle. So this is a 3-car garage. So here is the space. This is the space over here for this garage. For this vehicle, this is the space here. For this one, and this is the line, invisible line here, over. And all this space is for this vehicle, right? Okay, so let's see. Here's the receptacle for this space. Check. Here's the receptacle for this space. Check. Here's the receptacle. That's something else. Here's the receptacle for this space. Check. Here's the washer and dryer. So this is the laundry area. So there's the GFCI. Okay. Right here. Check. Okay. Let's see what else. Let's see here. We've got right here. This happens to be the sump pump. People say, oh no, don't you dare put a GFCI on the sump pump. Don't you dare do it. Yeah, you do it right here. You put the GFCI on the sump pump because the code tells you. I don't care about the water. I don't care about that. That can be pumped out. I grew up in a house that the basement flooded all the time. House is still there. A house is 80 years old, still there. We did pump the water out, put in the damn, at least this has a sump pump. You go, but what happens if the sump pump fails? Doesn't matter. I don't care your personal opinion. I don't care. If you're really worried about it, put a GFCI with an alarm on it that sets out, that a horn goes off when you lose power. Okay? Then you can run in there with your battery backup thing and plug it in temporarily if it makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Okay? GFCI is required. Over here, right here, freezer chest. It's a receptacle. It's in the garage. GFCI protected. Hey, look at these receptacles in the ceiling for garage door openers. They're receptacles. They're in the ceiling. They're in the garage. Guess what? GFCI protected. Okay? Makes sense? All right. Here you go, right here. Receptacle outlet for a 30 amp air compressor. It's in the garage. Guess what? GFCI protected. Makes sense? GFCI protected. We have to make those GFCI manufacturers some money. They're hurting right now. They're hurting. Okay. Yeah. It's in the code. It's been in the code for quite a while, Paul. Yep. All right. So let's go here. All right. Let's see here. Where are we at here? Let's see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where was I at here? Okay. So that's all. So we got all that type of stuff. Okay. Oh, so what does he say? Somebody says, does a washer need to be AFCI in the garage? Okay. Well, that means we got to go look at what? 210.12. Great observation. Great observation, Jonathan. You're on the ball. You are preparing for your exam. All right. So let's go and see what it says. That's the laundry area, right? All right. Well, let's go see what it says in 210.12. Boom. AFCI. Let's see here. So let's go look at the areas. All right. So what does it say here? It says dwelling units. Now we're talking about the branch circuit. Okay. So that's going to be protecting the branch circuit, not receptacle specific, but it's the branch circuit. It says supplying outlets or devices installed in the following locations. Well, let's see what we got here. Whoa, look at here. What does 13 say, Jonathan? Laundry area. Even though it's in a garage, remember, that's why we use the term area, right? Because the area where that laundry is and where that laundry circuit is ran, guess what? Is also the laundry area. So guess what? That circuit's going to require. Now, some people will say, well, isn't that whole place an area? No, this is where the code assumes that only professionals are using this document, okay? And it assumes, and everybody would like this thing to be black and white, like show lines of demarcation. Or example, they would love for people to say that this laundry area, people would say, well, Paul, I need the code to tell me that the laundry area is 4 feet by 8 foot around this area where the washer goes. No, you got to use your own judgment. Since all of them in here are required anyway to be GFCI protected, the laundry area is going to be the area immediately adjacent where the laundry circuits run. I do not want the code personally. I do not want the code to start dictating spaces for me. I really don't. I like when something is an area, because if I'm standing over here, I am not working on laundry. If I'm standing over here, I am not working on laundry. This to me is the area. Okay. Now, could they say immediately adjacent the laundry circuit's termination point or something? I mean, they could, but really, do we need it? Do we really need it? Okay. I know that you know that I know that you know that you know that I know that I know that you know that you don't want to put AFCI on this shit anyway. So be careful what you ask for, because if they're listening, we're all going to start paying for it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Be careful. We always should be careful. All right, lighting. All right, let's talk about lighting. So at least one wall switch controlled lighting outlet is required to be provide illumination on the exterior side of an outside entrance or exit with grade level access to a garage. Now, this is one where people get this wrong all the time. You do not count the garage door as an entrance or an exit. Only physical entrance and exits from the garage, not the garage door. You may have a garage with only one entrance into it. I did. Back in Texas, I only had the garage door. Now, I had floodlights, but the floodlights were not required because of the garage door. Okay? I had a front door and it already had a light there, so I didn't need to have the garage light, but most people do. You have to have it for any entrance and egress to the garage, but the garage door does not count. So, 3-car garage, all it has is 3 openings. You're not required to illuminate those garage doors. You're not. But most of you do, because it makes sense to do that. So you can see what you're doing when you're backing in or whatever into the garage at night. It makes sense, right? Although, backup lights on your car probably do fine. But if there's a door on the side of your garage, then it does require a wall switch controlled lighting outlet, okay? Whether it's over it, on the side of it, whatever. But could I have a floodlight that also illuminates that entrance and it not be right at the door? Absolutely you can. That's fine. That's not a problem at all. Now, again, we remind you the vehicle garage door is not considered an outside entrance or exit and therefore does not require a wall switch control lighting outlet. That says that in 210.70A22. Pause, or don't pause because this is live, but in the replay, pause, go read it, and you'll see what we're talking about. It says it in black and white. Now, a lighting outlet installed to provide illumination for the general area, basement, garages, and etc., may also serve as the equipment lighting provided is located at or near the equipment. So crawl spaces, garages, basements, things like that. If you have equipment that requires servicing and say it's unfinished, you still have to have illumination to service that equipment. However, if you have illumination for that area anyway, then it can serve as the illumination for that servicing as well as for the area. The only caveat I'll tell you here, guys, is when you're designing stuff, if you have your lighting outlet for your basement is far away from your equipment, then you need to add additional lighting, because I will argue that it is not located in enough to service this equipment. So if it's behind you, then what's going to happen is that you're going to block all of that light. And the last thing that you want to do is be working on a piece of equipment and have somebody come in, you're working on it, right? And a homeowner comes in while you're working on it. Your wife's upstairs, the husband's out working in the yard, cutting grass. You've been called because they're burning hot. He's going to be coming in hot and sweaty. The AC's not working. You're an electrician. You're out there, or somebody's out there working on it. And they come in this door right here, turn this damn light off when they don't pay attention to it. It might be on, but they turn it off. And you're knee deep in this thing. Well, hopefully you got the disconnect and you got it cut off. But I'm just saying, these rules are to protect you and the service people. That's it. So again, the illumination's required, but we also have to have illumination for the workspace, okay? Now, all 125 volt through 250 volt receptacles installed in the location specified, again, 210.8 A1 through A12, get used to that, and supplied by single-phase branch circuits rated 150 volts or less to ground, shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection and for personnel. I'm going to remind you folks, for those that may not know, maybe apprentices, first-year people, I don't know who's watching, 240-volt branch circuit that's going to a 250-volt rated receptacle, that 250 is a NEMA rating. That is 150 volts or less to ground, okay? Because you take just one line to ground, okay? That's going to be 120 volts. Line to line is 240, okay? Remember, it's not phase to phase. It's line to line because we are single phase, so there's only one phase. So it's not phase to phase because that would be a three-phase or a polyphase system. You're not dealing with that. So it's never phase to phase on a single phase, just line to line or leg to leg, okay? Just so we know, I'm just saying. All right, disconnecting means for permanently connected appliances. So wherever you do have this water heater, let's say, this is a permanently connected appliance here. It's going to a junction box and coming straight out. You may not even have the junction box. It may, the panel's near it or within sight. It may just come straight out of the wall and come over to the water heater. Is that okay? Sure, that'd be fine as long as the disconnecting means is not required, as long as it is within 50 feet and in sight, okay? So it has to be within 50 feet and be seen within sight while working on the appliance. If you had this weird basement where it's around the corner, and obviously the panel's over here, but around the corner is the water heater. I'm just using the water heater as an example. And it is within 50 feet, but I can't see the disconnecting means from it. So all you got to do is go to the appliance and turn around and say, can I see that disconnecting means? If the answer is no, I cannot, sir, well, then you're going to have a problem. Then you're going to need to install a disconnect here, or if it's of a certain size, you may be able to get away with a locking device that would go on the actual panel, okay? So you got different allowances in the code. So again, you could use the breaker as the disconnect if it's within sight and it's not more than 50 feet. In a residential, it's probably not going to be more than 50 feet. But I'll use another example. If this water heater, my house in Texas, the water heater, and I hated this. I don't have this now. My water heater was on the second floor in a closet area. And it was over top of the garage. And the panel was in the garage. So the water heater was up there. And my water heater up there in that house did not have a disconnect. And it did not have a breaker lock on it. Because there was no, only way to disconnect that was at the panel. Okay. So again, I rectified that issue. A simple pull out's all you need. I put it up there as I didn't want to put crap on I didn't want to do anything on my panel. It was easier for me to do it. And I think it was years ago I shot a video doing it. I have no idea where that video is. It was 10 years ago. But I showed how to install that up there. It was perfectly fine how I installed it. I had plenty of space, plenty of working space. Everything was good. And so in that scenario, it was obviously more than 50 feet. Well, probably not more than 50 feet as a crow flies, but I obviously couldn't see it. So again, they were able to accept it. All right, say a permanently connected appliance requires a means of simultaneously disconnect all underground hot conductors from the appliance to as 422.30. If you're not familiar with 422, that is the appliances article, by the way. Okay, there you go. All right. So now for craps and giggles, though, I will take you to the code just to show you 422, to show you some allowances for those disconnecting means, because I know people ask me all the time about those. So I just go there real quick, show you this. Hold on, I should have gone right there. Okay, so let's go down. So we're down here in the disconnects right here. So here's disconnecting means right here, part 3, right? And since it was talking about 31, we'll look at the disconnect requirements. So here's your disconnect requirements, by the way. For rated not over 300 volt amperes or over 1/8 horsepower, I'm going to tell you right now the water heater will be. So it's not going to be there. So it's going to be here, okay? Appliances rated over 300 VA. And I'm going to tell you right now, your water heater is an appliance. That's why you add it into your calculation for appliances when you're doing a load calculation, okay? So it says for permanently connected appliances rated over 300 VA, the branch circuit switch or circuit breaker, by the way, that's back of the panel, shall be permitted, not required, you can have a disconnect, shall be permitted to serve as the disconnecting means where the switch or circuit breaker is within sight of the appliance. Or, that's a big or, okay? So people know the power of or. So again, I can use a circuit breaker if in that panel or a switch of some type. If it's within sight, that's fine. Or be capable of being locked in the open position in compliance with 110.25. So as long as you can meet these requirements, again, lockable. The disconnecting means required to be lockable elsewhere in the code, shall be capable of being locked in the open position. Open means turned off, so it's not a complete circuit. So as I told you before, I didn't want to put one of those in my panel because I wanted to do a video, so I put a disconnect. But anyway, you get the point, okay? So you do have allowances, all right? All right, we're going to stop there today when it comes to that because we'll finish with the detached garages, accessory buildings. We'll finish the laundry areas, attic spaces, crawl spaces. We'll do all that in tomorrow's episode. And that'll finish up these dwelling goodies, these little low-hanging fruit things. So again, if you have your questions about laundry area, questions about crawl space, attic spaces, all those type of things, underfloor spaces, accessory buildings, detached garages, what you can have, what you can't, whether you got a ground rods, whether or not you can just run a branch circuit out there. Those are a lot of questions. If you have these questions, send them to us at paulabernathy.com, or if it's germane to the topic, you most certainly can ask them during this episode, and I'll be happy to answer them. So that's tomorrow, so make sure you join us. Let's see here. Van says the one place you do not put smoke detectors is in the garage per NFPA. Okay, so this is a good thing to talk about, Van. NFPA will say not to, okay? But you could if you wanted. You're just going to get a bunch of false activations. And they're not considered smoke detectors in a dwelling. They're called smoke alarms. Do y'all know the difference between a smoke detector? And I know we call them what we call them. But do you know the difference between a smoke detector and a smoke alarm? A smoke alarm is, whether it's a single station or multi-station in a dwelling, it's self-audible. Means it detects the smoke and it sends an alarm off. It's not connected to any monitoring system. A smoke detector detects smoke and then it sends an alarm to some kind of a notification device through a fire alarm control unit or some type of system that will send audible or connect to an off-site monitoring system. Now, that doesn't mean that if I have my smoke alarm that is connected to a system, that doesn't necessarily make it a smoke detector. It's a smoke alarm if it puts off an alarm. It may have smoke detector functions, which means that it connects to some type of monitoring system. Most dwellings where you're going to run a branch circuit to it, and you're going to interconnect all those, like with a 14.3, and the white's used, and you're going to interconnect everything, right? Or the red is the interconnect. You're going to use the white and black for the circuit and the neutral. So in those scenarios, those are called fire or smoke alarms. They're not smoke detectors. There you go. Now you learned something today about those. So we call those smoke alarms. At the end of the day, we know what we're talking about. We know what you're talking about. We get you, Van. I know what you're talking about. That type of thing. Now, also, you make sure you read the manuals for these smoke alarms as well, right? Tomatoes, tomatoes, potatoes, potatoes. You know why it makes a difference, AJ? You know why it makes a difference? Because there are certain codes that will talk about smoke alarms. And another good example is 760. Because in 760, it says fire alarm systems. And if to be a fire alarm system, you have to have a fire alarm control unit. And so it goes out of this way to make sure that you understand that a smoke alarm is not a fire alarm system. And people will confuse that. So a smoke alarm is not part of a fire alarm system. It isn't. It's a standalone notification or alerting system. Okay, so that's why we tell. But I know, potatoes, tomatoes, sub panel, remote distribution panel, load center. I get it. Okay, you know, Romax, non-metallic sheath cable. What other ones? Oh, there's all kinds of names. Insulated bushings, anti-short bushings, red heads, buttholes, whatever y'all like to call these things. Don't call them buttholes again. So we don't want to offend any home inspectors. All right, so at the end of the day, folks, let's go on and do some giveaways. Let's go. BX, which is basically the farthest thing from MC. BX, the old BX is closer to AC cable than it is MC cable, but be surprised, many people don't know that. And there is no such thing as BX anymore. But it is a slang that is constantly used throughout the industry to describe MC cable. But MC cable was never BX. Okay? It was an experimental product that was used many, many years ago by General Electric, put it out there. And the armor was never intended to be used as an equipment ground. That was before we started adding equipment grounds, and they started out really small little equipment grounds. And of course they got bigger. But again, old BX, people think because you can put them in a building and then connect to the armor and stick a 3-light tester in there, little wiggies, things like that, and it works. And people go, hey, it works. Or the little 3-light dummy testers. But the reality, there's the resistance is too high in that MC that if there was a fault, chances are it may not clear it in time. And I've actually been in basements where I looked up, damn, AJ says spin the wheel. AJ says I'm too long-winded. AJ, this podcast, these videos may not be for you, friend. They may not be for you. I'm just saying. All right, so I have seen the BX where it is actually glowing in a basement, and around the holes, it creates charcoal because it's not enough to ignite it. It hadn't got to that powerization point yet, but the heat of it and that high resistance created like a heating coil. You know what I'm saying? All right. AJ has spoken. He said, let's spin the wheel. He doesn't like my stories. So let's go. Spinning the wheel. Let's have a vote. Should I block AJ? Should I block him? Well, look at here, Paul. Paul has been crying for a wire waffle, and I was going to send him one anyway. But guess what, Paul? You got a wire waffle. You finally, this is a happy day for Paul. Because Paul has been wanting a wire waffle for forever, okay? There you go. All right, so you got one finally. There you go, Paul. Congratulations. Yeah, I would kick AJ for that. Come on. Come on. There you go. Paul got it. All right. Uh-oh. Oh, still rolling. We're going to have to do it again. Yes, you did, Paul. Oops. Sorry about that. It's got to lock down. It's got to lock down. All right, who else going to get another wire waffle? I think I got more. I'll know after today. Greg! All right, you guys, make sure you send me your mailing addresses so I can send these to you, and make sure you put in the title of it wire waffle winner or something in the title, so I know, Darlene knows, and Jeff knows, because I get so many emails. I want to make sure I don't miss it. Okay, wire. All you got to do, if you won one, we have record of it. If you won one, all you got to do is, I tell you all the time, just email us and let us know. I've got tons of emails. I've got like 10 different damn emails you can use, or you can go to paulabernathy.com and do it through the portal. Or you can go to any of our websites and click the Contact Us button, or you can send it to support, SUPPORT, at fasttrackssystem.com. It'll get here. All right, so let's go. Another one. We got record. We got records of everything, so we're good, and we'll make sure you get it. Greg has actually won a wire waffle before. So I don't know if Greg wants another wire waffle. But you're going to get one, Greg. Van Man. All right, Van Man. You have registered for the NFC promo. Congratulations. Let's go again. Better have enough of these. Okay. All right, so you know the routine there. I just went over to Anselmo. Send me your information, your mailing address, so that I can get you this wire waffle. All right, last spin here. Let's go. And if you're a CMECP, then you may have earned one of these. This is only available to CMECPs. I know that So, Cray, you're in the drawing for the mini knife. I know these mini knives are sharp, okay? Do not ask me how I know, but I do know they are very sharp, okay? All right, folks, that's it for today. Hopefully you got something out of this, a little something. Some of it may be old hat to you. Again, we do this 5 days a week, so it's bound to be redundant at some point. If there is specific topics you want me to cover, I'm not going to read your mind. You're going to have to go to paulabernathy.com. And remember, don't request a topic that's just going to be for your need. Like, oh, I'm studying, I just want this little. Think bigger. Think something that everybody can benefit from, okay? Everybody can learn from. And that's how we would do upcoming episodes. I don't want it to be where I'm just teaching a lesson to one person. Be broad. So if you're going to ask for a request, be broad about it so that we all can learn something from the episode, okay? A little broad, but make sure you do specific. Don't say, hey, Paul, I'd like you to do a show on Article 250. Really? I mean, really? I'd be like, really? I'd be like, I'd be deleting that email. I'm just saying. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay safe. God bless. We'll catch you tomorrow. But remember, tomorrow is the last show of this week. Next week, I mean, the rest of the week, I'm going to be at NFPA. I'm going to be out in, where is it? Where is it at? Oh, Vegas. Vegas. You're not going to catch me out anywhere. I'm only going to be in Mandalay Bay, and I'm just going to be there going to the, just to the Knitman part of it. Okay. So that's where you'll catch me. If you want to catch me, have a drink, have a talk. Okay. I'm there. I'd love to meet you. If you're out there, that's your opportunity. Come on out. Love to catch up with you. Okay. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. And we will catch you on tomorrow's episode of Coffee Hour, or in this case, plural, coffee hours. As always, I'm going to have to change the name. I'm going to have to add an S on that. Peace.